Yes, guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. It's very rare that you ever see me just a couple of hours after a 6 Things We Learnt video, particularly a 6 Things We Learnt video where Chelsea have actually won. If you didn't see, Chelsea beat Fulham this afternoon 2-0. Check out the 6 Things We Learnt video on the channel, which is the match review series we do here on GBFC. And during that game, Chelsea obviously scored 2 goals, won the game, clean sheet, that's all great. But within the first 15 minutes, Liam Delap, new Chelsea number 9, goes off injured with a hamstring injury. Post-match, Enzo Maresca, the manager, comes out and says that he will be out for about 6 to 8 weeks. And as much as Liam Delap's a big boy, and of course, he probably didn't want to admit at the time it was an injury, he tried to play on a little bit and then he just couldn't. He goes down, goes off. Chelsea have got Joao Pedro as the only striking option at the club, apart from obviously Shinmuweka and academy players. At the start of the season here, 3 games in, we are down to 1 striker. Enzo Maresca was asked post-match, what do you think about this? Well, obviously, Maresca wants a solution, and boom. Chelsea have offered this as the solution. Chelsea informed Bayern Munich they will not be proceeding with proposed loan of Nicolas Jackson after injury to Liam Delap. 24-year-old striker travelled to Germany for FC Bayern move, but CFC requested Senegal international returns to London. Now, you'd think that all makes a little bit of sense, wouldn't it? You got Nicolas Jackson, who, I guess this is how it works, okay? When a footballer goes and signs for another club, you've got the signature of the player, signature of the buying club, signature of the selling club, so that everyone is on the same page legally with what's going on. So right now, or not right now, but about an hour or 2 ago, Nicolas Jackson was on a plane going from London to Munich to sign as a new Bayern Munich player with the full intention of being a Bayern Munich player, playing alongside or behind Harry Kane and all that stuff, playing for the champions of Germany. Nicolas Jackson, who's been shunned out of the door at Chelsea, not really given a chance over the course of the summer. Well, I say that, he did get sent off, and we're going to talk about that later in this video because there could be an incredible redemption arc here. But first of all, this story is absolutely bonkers because we've also got his agent who is saying this. Nicolas Jackson's agent, Diamanti Kamara, on Instagram stories, we are not going back. The plane doesn't go backwards. Chelsea have informed Bayern they will not proceed with the proposed loan of Nicolas Jackson after Liam Delap's injury. However, Jackson's agents are not accepting the club's decision and are still trying to save the deal. Now, obviously with this, we've got to talk about legalities. We've got to talk about contracts. We've got to talk about what is actually going to end up happening here, because Nicolas Jackson would be quite within his rights right now to dig his heels in and be like, hang on a second, you're shulling me out of the door. I've had double-figure goals last season, double-figure goals in my first season. You bought in 2 strikers. Yeah, I got a red card in the summer, and I got a red card at the end of the season, but you've made it clear that I'm surplus to requirements at your club, and now, at Chelsea this is, and now you want me back. You know what? I'm about to sign for the German champions. We've messed Jackson around, and this is the icing on the cake. Whether or not you think Jackson should have gone or not, my position on this was always, I think he should have stayed for how good he is as a footballer, but I also think he should have stayed purely because I don't think you go into a season as world champions, as Champions League competitors, looking to win 4 competitions, not saying we will, but we should be trying to. I don't think you can go in to a season like that with 2 strikers, let alone it being 2 young strikers and 2 strikers that have not played for Chelsea before until the summer. I think Jackson should have stayed. So Chelsea doing everything that they possibly can to sell him. I understand as someone that was like, Xavi Simons, we needed to sell Jackson in order to make that transfer happen, or in order to make another transfer of that similar standard nature happen, right? But I would say I have always been firmly in the park that we should have kept Nicolas Jackson at the club. Now, Jackson is obviously fuming here. He's getting excited to go to Bayern Munich. He's landed. There's all smiles. There's videos going around of him smiling and all that stuff, jumping in cars and jumping out of cars with his backpack and all that stuff, right? And now Chelsea are being like, sorry, but we're going to call you back. This is obviously going to be frustrating beyond comprehension for Nicolas Jackson. But legally, if Chelsea haven't signed that document, Bayern haven't, Jackson haven't, Bayern Munich and Jackson right now will be putting pen to paper. But if it doesn't have Chelsea's signature on it, then this isn't going to go through. So Chelsea have inadvertently here put themselves in a position where fundamentally we don't have any other options right now but João Pedro up front. That's like looking forward beyond the international break. We've only got Pedro. Heaven forbid something happens to him. It better not do, because otherwise we're a little bit screwed, aren't we? Shin Mueka's getting promoted immediately. It's a lot of pressure for a young lad, that. So Nicolas Jackson, if he has to come back here, what Nicolas Jackson are we going to get? And I'll say this, there's an opportunity for Nicolas Jackson to have a redemption arc like no other. And I don't want to over-dramatize this. I don't want to make this seem even more dramatic than it already is, because this is bonkers, mate. For Chelsea Football Club to try and agree in a deal, 15 million euros for a loan fee for a season. Option to buy next summer of 60, 65 million. And Chelsea included a sell-on clause on top of that if Jackson were to go to Bayern Munich. So basically, as much as Jackson hasn't been sold yet, he's only been loaned. Well, he hasn't been loaned. See where we're going with this. Jackson's Chelsea future was no more. So how, as a footballer, do you come back to Chelsea having done a pretty good job in his Chelsea career? I like Nicolas Jackson. I've not got too many bad words to say about him. Deal with the red cards in isolation. Yes, it was petulant. Yes, it was ridiculous. But what do you expect from a guy who was so young when he first came in and he's asked to lead the line for Chelsea Football Club? I expect these kind of things. And I also expect a lot of the profligacy in front of goal that we saw from him too. But all in all, I like him as a footballer. So are we going to get Nicolas Jackson actually returning here to Chelsea, or is this going to actually be where it goes? Nicolas Jackson's agent is digging his heels in. We're not going back. The plane doesn't go backwards. I feel like Diamansi Kamara absolutely loves having, the eyes on him right now and all of these dramatic terms and all that stuff. But realistically, this is mental. And Chelsea, I'm going to say we've only got ourselves to blame here. And again, I don't want it to be another I told you so moment, but going into the season, having not had a pre-season and not expecting injuries, muscular injuries like the ones we're getting, is crazy. We can have all of these different kinds of wingers, all of these attacking midfield options, but now we've got one striker. Nicolas Jackson may well be returning to Chelsea. As well as that, we're not just finished here, boys and girls. We have got more news here from Fabrizio. Exclusive. Chelsea send official written proposal to Barcelona for Fermin Lopez. Initial proposal worth 40 million euro has been submitted this afternoon right after the game. CFC awaiting answer from Barca after sending a proposal today. So not only has Chelsea's position after seeing this match today been, we're going to go and try and get Fermin Lopez now, but it's also recall Nicolas Jackson, but this is what we're seeing about Fermin Lopez. So right now, Chelsea are in a position where we didn't get that Simmons or we haven't got that Lopez. We've got one striker, and we're also dealing with this. Barcelona maintain their position. No plans to sell Fermin Lopez this summer following Chelsea bid. The only way for Fermin exit would be in case he decides to leave, with future now in players' hands. So Chelsea's initial bid was 40 million euros. Incredibly low. Obviously, it was going to be rejected by Barcelona. We've also got to remember in all of this that Chelsea have financial restraints on our shoulders right now with UEFA and registering new players when it comes to submitting that Champions League squad at the beginning of September. Nicolas Jackson's sale, which was what the club were aiming for apparently, would have gone a long way to helping free up funds to bring players in, to be able to make sure that we can register new players for next season's Champions League. So now, we're not even going to receive the loan fee for Nicolas Jackson if this hasn't all actually gone through. And look, for David Ornstein to be coming out and saying this, it tells me that there's nothing official, right? When we hear the words, here we go, that doesn't necessarily mean that the pen has signed on the paper. And we are seeing firsthand right now how this is all playing out in the transfer market. How do I think this is going to end? I think legally, eventually, Nicolas Jackson will have to end up back at Chelsea if the move isn't signed. He can be unhappy all he wants, and trust me, He's got all of the right to be unhappy about this. Nicolas Jackson didn't have any say in Liam Delap going off with a hamstring injury today. And he also doesn't have any say as to what the club do in the transfer market. If Chelsea thought it was okay to only have 2 strikers going into the season, to sell Nkunku, loan Mark Guiu, and loan him, not Jackson's problem. But I will say this, Nicolas Jackson, you have got an amazing opportunity here, because I understand it might be really difficult to actually get your head back around being a Chelsea player again. But as much as it might not have been perfect, he's a really interesting footballer. And I genuinely think you put him with João Pedro, like you've seen Delap and Pedro together. You put those 2 together, I genuinely think it could work. I think we could be talking in 6 months' time about an incredible redemption for Nicolas Jackson. I don't just want to use cringy cliche footballing terms like redemption arc and all that nonsense, but like, I really believe it. Let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments down below. Because remember yesterday also, we were talking about a here we go and a loan move being secured for Buonanotte. The Julio Enciso deal that we spoke about that then went off because the medical didn't go through. That actually did go through. Enciso's going to Strasbourg with the idea of Chelsea in the future. Now we're looking at signing Fermin Lopez too. What on earth is going on at our football club? Right now, we need to wait and see what is happening with Jackson over the course of the next hours. He's either going to fly back to London because he's still contracted to Chelsea, and he might want to go to Bayern Munich, and it might have been all agreed, but was it signed? This is where this is all heading. And I think we've learned a lot during this transfer window. At least I have in particular. And, you know, I've getting all my hopes up about certain players, and then it all kind of crashes through. It's the classic same old story. Until you sign the contract, there's nothing really much you can do about it. So long live the pen and paper. But let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments down below. This is absolutely mental. Check out the 6 Things We Learnt video from earlier on today. As I always say, if you want to buy anything from the Chelsea Megastore this summer, use this QR code here and the link in the description. GBFC10 is your discount code, and I will keep you guys up to date with this tomorrow. Mad.